Look, the number one qualification is, can you do the job of being governor? Because if you're lieutenant governor, that may come to you. So that's the number one thing that I think about. The second thing I think about is the person who I might choose for lieutenant governor somebody who has a heart for all the people of Illinois, not just some or some specific segment of the population, because we have a big, diverse state. And the people who live in Henry County, people who live in Union County, or in places like Effingham or Rockford or Chicago, have different opinions about things. They may come from different parties, but when you become governor of the state of Illinois, you represent all of them.
Governor, last year you were vetted for the vice presidency job. That's something very few American politicians have gotten to experience. How did that experience influence the decisions you've made about your political career since then, and any decisions you'd make in the future?
I don't know if that affected decisions that I've made about my own future. I was flattered to be considered. Obviously there were some group of people who felt like I would make a good vice president and that I had the ability to take over as president if that should happen. So I'm flattered by that, but it hasn't really affected the way I think about my own future.
Did it affect, I guess, anything that you realized what you bring to the table from that experience? Did it change kind of how you view just what you're bringing to the Democrat Party?
Well, they didn't go to the individual potential candidates for vice president and say, you know why we're going to talk to you, and then list a whole bunch of things. So it isn't like I learned something new about how people view me or, something like that. But obviously being considered for vice president is enormously flattering. It's a challenging endeavor to go through that vetting, and it seemed to go well. I made it to the finals, so I really, it's not something I think about much anymore. But it was, to even be considered. I think about when I ran for governor in the first place in 2018, 2017, 18. Never could have imagined anybody would talk about me as the potential vice presidential nominee or as a candidate for president of the United States. So I think I will say that all of that is good for the people of Illinois in this way. Having the state of Illinois' leaders viewed as capable and competent and potentially able to run the entire country, and being talked about in that way allows us to, I think, get more for the people of Illinois, because there's an understanding that maybe in Illinois we're doing the right things, and maybe in Illinois we have leaders that can competently execute on what states really need. I don't know. I feel like I'm in decent health. So my doctor says so. I hope that wouldn't be a reason. And I don't know. Whatever the odds are that a lieutenant governor, you could probably look back in the history of since 1818 when we became a state, of lieutenant governors stepping in. So I don't know what those odds are, but it's happened a few times, but not too terribly often.